He's always helping and ready to extend helping hands to the Department of Political Science. The senior most professor is available, and really we are very much thankful to you, sir, for accepting our invitation to come over here to serve as a resource person for this wonderful technical session in the morning. So, my dear friends, the session will go up to 15-20 minutes, and another 10 minutes is going to have for discussions, and you can raise your questions. Now it's time over to Dr. V.S. Sampath. Sir, please.
Sir, the right to the right to constitutional remedy is a main fundamental rights provided under Article 32. Before starting, if we say in the words of the Dr. Ambedkar, Article 32 is the heart and soul of the Constitution. With this, I commence the constitutional remedies. For the protection of our fundamental rights, the Supreme Court of India is the guardian of the Constitution. Article 32 of the Constitution provides for writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights. Similarly, Article 226 of the Constitution of India provides remedies for enforcement of fundamental rights. There is a slight difference between Article 32 and Article 226. Whereas in the case of Article 32, the Supreme Court is having the power to issue the writ in case of fundamental rights, when fundamental rights are being deprived. But on the other hand, in respect of High Court, not only in respect of fundamental rights, for any other purpose, it is having a power to issue the writ. Therefore, it is better for us to understand that the High Court is having a wider power than the High Court in the first sense. Then the next question arises: what are the writs that our High Courts and Supreme Courts can issue? And both the Supreme Court as well as the High Courts, the Supreme Court under Article 32 and the High Court under Article 26 of the Constitution issue the following writs: writ of habeas corpus, writ of mandamus, writ of prohibition, writ of certiorari, writ of quo warranto. These are the general writs power of the Supreme Court and the High Court. And we want to discuss about the writ of habeas corpus. The meaning of the term is to bring the body or to have the body. The object of this particular writ is to secure the release of the person who has been detained illegally by the authorities. And with respect to normally, you are aware, the aggrieved person alone can go to the court when his rights have been deprived. But in the habeas corpus, not only it is any person, friend or family members on behalf of the person who has been against for whose protection this writ has been filed. The purpose of the writ is when a person is being illegally arrested by the authorities, the court will pass an order directing the authorities produce the person before the court who has been illegally detained and to ascertain or examine the legality of his detention. That is the main purpose of the habeas corpus. You might have come across in the leading newspapers on various occasions when some person has been found to be not available. Immediately, any individual persons or social supported persons or a friend of the persons may file a petition of writ of habeas corpus for the protection of that person before the court. The next is writ of mandamus. The purpose of the writ of mandamus is some sort of direction will be issued by the court. The meaning of the term command means, writ of mandamus means we command. The purpose of this writ is to keep the public authority within the limits of their jurisdiction while exercising their functions. And the person who can file the writ of mandamus, any person who is affected by the violation of the statutory duty or the abuse of the statutory power by the authority, he can file the writ of mandamus. Writ of mandamus is a command issued by the superior court, that is either Supreme Court or the High Court, either to the government, to the inferior court, tribunal, or public authority or corporation, or any other person having public duty to perform. In all these cases, the writ of mandamus can be filed by the aggrieved party. It is an order against government or inferior court or tribunal or public authority, mandating them or directing them to perform their duty in accordance with the prescribed limits of the particular statutory duty or otherwise. The next is writ of certiorari. The meaning of this writ is to be more fully informed. The object of this writ is to keep the courts within the limits of their jurisdiction assigned to them by law and to prevent them from acting in excess of their jurisdictions. The writ is issued by the superior court to the inferior court or tribunal or body exercising judicial or quasi-judicial functions to remove the proceedings from such court, tribunal or body for the purpose of examining the legality of the proceedings. Who can file this petition means a person who is aggrieved can file this writ of certiorari. Suppose I filed an application for issuance of some patta before the Tahsildar, but he has issued a patta against my opposite party, has no title or any other document to prove his title. In spite of that, he has issued the patta against in favor of the opposite party. In such a case, he has exceeded the power. Therefore, the aggrieved party may file an application for quashing the proceedings by which order he has passed patta to the opposite party who has no title or any other document. For this purpose, he can file a writ of certiorari. This is one example. The next is writ of prohibition. The writ of prohibition means to forbid or to stay. The object of the writ of prohibition is to restrain the inferior court or tribunal or body from exceeding their jurisdiction and to keep within the limits of their jurisdictions. Writ of prohibition is a direction preventing the inferior court or tribunal from exercising their judicial function while they are in excess. Prohibition and certiorari are similar in most of the aspects. For easier understanding, we can say generally certiorari are being filed when the matter has been decided against us, namely that is against the aggrieved party. On the other hand, in case of writ of prohibition, even when the matter is being pending before a particular authority, if he is going to act in excess or exceeding the limits of his jurisdiction, we can append it writ of prohibitions. The next position is quo warranto. Quo warranto means by what authority. The object of the writ of quo warranto is to control the executive action in the matters of making appointment to public offices against the relevant statutory provisions and to protect the citizen being deprived of that to which he is having the right to occupy that particular office. By this writ, the person who occupies or usurps an independent substantive office is asked to show under what authority he is claiming it for a post of public office. Some eligibility conditions are being prescribed, but rightly or wrongly, he has been appointed. Therefore, a person who has been properly satisfying all the eligibility conditions and experience norms as published, in spite of that, opposite party who has been not qualified, not satisfying the requirements, has been appointed. In that case, this type of writ of quo warranto can be filed, questioning the authority of the public officer under what authority is occupying the seat. Now this is quo warranto. This next object is public interest litigations. The word public interest litigation was firstly used by Honorable Justices Supreme Court, respected J. Krishna Iyer and Honorable J. N. Bakaji Justice in the Fertilizer Corporation versus Union of India in the year of 1981. Why? It is a new invention in our writ aspect, because basically speaking, to file all the writs, the requirement is the concept of the locus standi, which means the person who is going to file any writ before the High Court or the Supreme Court, he must have the right to file, or he must have a really aggrieved person. But the concept of public interest litigation is a new dimension in our judicial system. The object of the public interest litigation is not to protect the legal rights of the person who is going to file the petition, but he is representing others' rights. The reason being filed by the petitioner is he is representing the other persons who are unable to appear before the court due to various reasons like insufficiency of funds, poverty, lack of knowledge, social pressure, or due to living conditions or some other factors like circumstances. Now this public interest litigation concept has given a new dimension in the Indian judiciary, wherein the locus standi is relaxed and any public spirited person or public minded person or social service oriented persons may file when the rights of the other persons are being affected by any of the authorities. Now, the public interest litigation has also provided a significant assistance in making the judicial activism more meaningful. We have to thank our Supreme Court and High Courts for enlarging the scope of this locus standi by a new dimension known as public interest litigation. And we have to thank our judiciary. Both the High Courts and the Supreme Courts are always there protecting our fundamental rights. And whenever our fundamental rights are being affected, the courts are immediately coming to our help. This is the real justice which we are derived by our Constitution. Once again, I thank our architect of our Constitution, Dr. Ambedkar, for providing this justice in the real spirit of the nation. With this, I was able to say something on the concept of the powers of the Supreme Court and High Court in respect of the writ petitions. If any queries, that may be asked.